So the gut microbiome, you guys are probably already experts listening to this, but I love to explain this with some graphics from some literature to hopefully help you understand it better, or even if you already understand it really well, to maybe be able to explain it better to others. Because I think a lot of time people are like, why are you so into eating plants, right? Why are you whole food plant-based? Why does my 8-year-old son have to explain this at school? I got a text a few days ago about, your son says that he doesn't eat animal products, like what's going on? So to be able to explain this for not for just for ourselves, but to others. So this is a cross section. So if you imagine the lumen of the intestine, so everything's moving through, right, from our mouth down to our stomach, going through the intestines and out to the end. And so this is a cross section of that wall, like you're looking through it. And so the green and red I put there, looking at, so we're going to say the green represent good bacteria, and the red represent inflammatory bacteria. And so we all have a mixture of these. We want more good bacteria than bad bacteria. And so with the gut microbiome, let's pretend we're eating a low fiber diet. Now, before, I would say, like, if I had to pick one food that it has no nutrients that I don't, that I would really eat, but let's just say a purple Skittle. So let's just take something that probably has no nutritional value, right? It's coming down the GI tract. And if you eat a lot of these inflammatory foods, so foods that are ultra processed, high in fats and added sugars, and not your healthy fats, but you're eating like these ultra processed foods and you don't have a lot of plants, what happens is that those bad bacteria, those inflammatory bacteria start to multiply more and more. Along with that, we're starving those good bacteria. We have a decrease in short chain fatty acids. And so we see a decrease in overall energy for our body, an increase in inflammation, which we do not want. We see a worsening of mood, increased risk of several different types of cancer. And so this is, again, an AI generated image. When I put in all these different words about inflammation and gut microbiome, our bacteria, I didn't even put in like unhappy bacteria. I just put in like all these different words, inflammation. This is what the image came up with. A really sad intestine, right? Our intestines are sad. The microbiome is sad because we're starving our good bacteria of fiber. They're starving. We're not giving them enough plants. And once again, I'm a fan of having more than 25 grams of fiber. And then also as we're starving those bacteria, they start to eat away at our mucus layer. That yellow arrow is showing that mucus layer. So we want a nice thick mucus layer to keep everything moving through the intestines. But if they can't eat fiber, they're actually eating away that mucus layer and it gets really thin. And so what happens is that things that should be staying in the intestinal lumen, right? So we're imagining feces and all these different products going through the intestinal lumen. What should be staying in the intestinal lumen actually is able to sneak through some of those different endotoxins, so bacterial products and different things that are inflammatory. It's not just nutrients that are going through. Because we have leaky junctions, because we have that thin mucus layer, there are products that seep through that should be staying in the intestine, headed out to the toilet, that are able to seep through into our blood. That causes an increase in inflammation and increase in our immune cells because we have the intestine, we have those blood vessels wrapped around. So that the blood vessel you see on the bottom, that's actually the systemic circulation. Those are their blood vessels ready to take nutrients from our intestines, but now they're taking nutrients and they're taking some toxins and different product that should have been staying in the intestines headed to the toilet. They're actually taking those and causing systemic inflammation. It also causes disruption of hormonal levels. It throws everything out of whack. And so the intestines are unhappy. They're inflamed. They're not what we want. It also leads to hormonal chaos. That's the best picture I could find of chaos. Hormonal chaos when we have things leaking through into the systemic circulation, causing that extra inflammation. So what is the remedy for this? It's eating more real food and less or no junk food. It's eating those high quality foods. It's nourishing the gut microbiome with a whole food, plant forward way of eating. We want to be eating foods that are nutrient dense, that are minimally processed or unprocessed, that are anti-inflammatory and that are fiber rich. So we need to be eating a lot of plants. And when we do that, right, so the green, now I'm representing that's, you're eating all your plants, you're eating your fiber, you're eating your fruits and vegetables and whole grains and nuts and beans and seeds, you're eating that. And what happens is that you get the good bacteria, all of those green bacteria, they diversify, you get more different types of good bacteria and they reproduce. You get all of these good bacteria. Also, your bacteria are busy eating away at that fiber. And so you can see as the plants come through, the fiber eat that. the nutrients are able to get through, but you don't have those leaky junctions. You have that nice thick mucus layer. Remember how it was so thin in the other one? You have a nice thick mucus layer. So that mucus layer is keeping what should be in the intestine going through, and you don't get those endotoxins or those inflammatory factors that are coming through. You just get the metabolites and the good things that are nourishing your body. So the bacteria are happy. Another AI images, I had fun with this when I started looking at these with my daughter who's in college. So the bacteria are happy. They are healthy. They're reproducing. You have a decrease in inflammation. We get the production of those short chain fatty acids as the bacteria are eating away at that fiber. You get an increase in the short chain fatty acids. They increase energy. They decrease inflammation. They improve mood. They support hormonal health. They decrease the risk of cancer. So on and on and on, all of these good things. That mucus layer is nice and thick. And what is in the intestine is actually moving all the way through and not seeping through. And your intestine, when it has your microbiome, when it is eating a whole food plant forward, plant predominant diet, it is happy. We also see an improvement in menopause symptoms. Women who eat more vegetables and fruits, women who have more of a plant forward diet, more of a Mediterranean whole food, Mediterranean minimally processed plant forward way of eating, they typically will have decreased menopause symptoms compared to women who are not eating that way. Also, I'm a huge fan of soy. Not only does it decrease inflammation and help make it more likely that you don't get that buildup of visceral fat. So soy, whole and minimally processed soy foods, and I recommend organic products. They've been shown to help with decreasing that visceral fat. But also, in addition, there's some research showing that they can, for many women, may help to reduce moderate to severe hot flashes and night sweats. So when I'm talking about minimally processed, so I'm talking about edamame, soy nuts, tofu, tempeh, miso, soy milk. I'm not a fan of soy isolates or supplements. I think they can do too much to impact those estrogen receptors. And I think we just don't know too much about it. This is safe even for breast cancer survivors like myself to be having 1 to 2 servings a day of whole or minimally processed soy foods. We know that when people eat a healthier or more plant forward diet, women typically have better physical functioning. When women start to increase their intake of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, beans, seeds, they typically have less bodily pain. We saw an improvement in their general and mental health. So this was like over 100,000 women who were part of the Nurses' Health Studies 1 and 2. And they saw, did they change their intake? And when they increased their plant food, when they started eating more fiber, when they started eating more of these whole and minimally processed plants, they improved their general and mental health, and they had increased vitality. So they had a better chance at thriving through that menopause transition and beyond when they increased their intake of healthy plant foods. On the other hand, those women who increased their intake of unhealthy foods, regardless of whether or not they didn't contain animal products. So we're kind of looking at a separate discussion. Let's just say that they're like, okay, I am vegan, but as you, I'm sure know, you can be a very unhealthy vegan. So imagine that somebody's eating a lot of ultra processed foods. They're eating, maybe they're not eating animal products, but they're eating a lot of ultra processed foods and junk foods. We saw women who increased that typically had a worsening of their physical functioning, more bodily pain because it's creating that inflammation, right? Worse general and mental health and more mental role limitations. Now, the exciting thing is that increasing fiber intake, it's not just good for your gut microbiome, it also decreases the risk of several different types of cancers and cancer recurrence if you're a cancer survivor like me, according to the American Institute for Cancer Research. It also improves bone health in women. It's been shown to support brain health. When I went through all this different testing, going through menopause prematurely, and not being able to use hormone therapy with that premature menopause increases my risk for dementia. Also, I have a copy of the ApoE4 gene, which increases my risk of dementia. And so I do everything I can to optimize my brain health. And the same way of eating is supportive of brain health as well. It's also supportive of our number one killer, which is cardiovascular disease in women. So this whole food, plant predominant way of eating that's fiber forward is beneficial for so many different areas. So we want to prioritize our plants. Fiber is fabulous for females. Vegetables, fruits, whole grains, nuts, beans, seeds, limit or avoid ultra-processed foods. Help make those healthy substitutions. And so instead of those Fruit Loops, and I don't even know what that purple drink is, but eating like maybe some steel cut oats with it looks like they have some chia seeds and some almonds and blueberries, eating nourishing snacks. I recommend that my patients keep a fiber diary to see where they're at. And I encourage that something, even if you're a healthy eater, just see like, where am I at with my fiber intake? Now, remember, the recommendation is to be getting about 25 grams or so a day, 20 to 25. But many experts believe that more is probably better. However, I don't like for women to do a huge jump all at once. So if you find out that you're at 10 and you want to go to 20, 25, like don't do that all in one day. Or if you're at 20, 25 and you're like, I want to try 30, which is the recommendation for the American Institute for Cancer Research for decreasing risk of cancer. I recommend that people go up slowly so that your intestine can get used to it. But fiber is fabulous. Find out where you're at and then start where you're at and work your way up. Look for ways to incorporate more fiber into your diet. For most people, certain people have certain medical conditions, see your doctor or, or where you're at, but focus on getting fiber.